My attempts to run from the visual novel by running through my backlog and making a video or two along the way have compounded into me running from a video on Watch Dogs 2 by playing Touhou Luna Nights instead, and after multiple 4 AM rants on Discord and Twitter alike, it's slowly sinking in that I have much more to say about Luna Nights than I do Watch Dogs, despite one taking up 25 gigs on my hard drive and one taking up 250. Luna Nights is a bite-sized Metroidvania fan game that'll take 4 to 5 hours to beat your first time blind, starring Sakuya Iazoi, who appears also in the mainline Touhou series from the 6th game onwards, allegedly. I still can't beat Stage 3 of Scarlet Devil. It's a self-contained enough game requiring zero knowledge of the Touhou series to play. I know basically nothing about it, and the plot kinda felt like a fever dream, but that also might be because of the translation. However, the name of the game is the game, and Luna Nights is fantastic at doing more with less. Almost every part of the game has an interesting interaction with other parts. The star of the show is the time stop mechanic, but the major game mechanics, movement mechanics, are all synergistic in an incredibly satisfying way. Instead of enemies dropping health and MP restoring items, they took a page out of the mainline Touhou series and added in a graze mechanic. In this case, standing by enemies restores health, magic points, and refills your time stop. On its own, it's already an interesting mechanic that encourages learning enemy patterns and feeling like a badass, but it becomes strategic as well. You have a slide kick that only does 1 tick of damage while your default knife does 3 ticks, but it also makes your hitbox lower unless you get some graze in while attacking at the same time. You can stop time and get a bunch of free graze whenever you want, but it's going to pretty much only refund time stop instead of restoring health. This isn't as bad an idea as it sounds. If you're desperate, you can freeze time and frantically run through a gauntlet you haven't a chance of winning against. Of course, killing baddies is generally beneficial. There's a leveling system that increases defense and damage like Symphony of the Night, but enemies also drop gems which have multiple levels of decision making attached to them. Keeping them in your inventory gives you handy stat bonuses, such as increased graze, faster mana regen, and damage boosts. Selling them gives you gold, which allows you to buy restorative items and various boosts, such as increased time stop or more knives. However, the shopkeep starts acting pretty shady in the later parts of the game, needily telling you to sell your jewels, even while also telling you how useful they are. And as it turns out, the end boss decides to do homage to fucking Castlevania 64. The shopkeep was actually a separate character in disguise who's been using every gem you sold her to grow in power, modulating the difficulty of the final fight, adding another level of decision making for choosing what gems to buy and sell in the shop, because every short-term benefit that you choose now will have a long-term impact. Speaking of bosses, they're the stars of the show when it comes to combat. They flex all of your skills and creativity when facing them. You're dodging attacks by the skin of your teeth, filling them with hundreds of knives, stopping time, throwing chainsaws, and it all feels fantastic. The challenges you face so far in the level before them will be parroted back to you with the boss fight itself, which leads to the levels themselves. They're not nearly as non-linear as most modern Metroidvanias, but they're incredibly fun gauntlets where every ability is being flexed in really neat ways. The world is littered with secrets, which vary from giving you some extra gems to giving you more time stop to giving you new super attacks. I'm not the best at finding them, so I missed quite a few of these on my first run. I'm not sure how I feel about the secret attacks being largely tied to secret rooms, but it does mean that they feel even more sick when you get them. They allow for all sorts of tactical expression. The stun knife doing more damage above and below the thing you struck makes them useful for dealing with weak enemies, while 1000 Knives gives you absolutely disgusting iframes to graze through any attack a boss can throw you with a hefty mana cost. And now that we're back at Graze, note that I went through almost every single major mechanic in the game, the world design, and touched on the progression, and how almost every single aspect of it loops back to at least one other aspect. There's not much to this game, but each single thing is incredibly satisfying, and only a few things exist in a vacuum. I'm looking at you, screw knives that let me break boxes. These screw knives were a letdown for me in a way that reminded me of another Metroidvania that had a focus on moves having utility in both combat and exploration.
Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition!
Guacamele's entire upgrade arsenal felt like screw knives. The world had some areas, sure, that were blocked off by logical platform constraints that your moves opened up. The combat had some enemies, sure, that simply had some utility where using your special moves could let you combo them easier. However, it also has a terrible stance of treating these moves like keys. In combat, there are shielded enemies that you must use the specific move on in order to break their shield. In the world, there are colored blocks that you must use the move on to break. It completely removes what I feel is the secret sauce to making a Metroidvania satisfying, the moment of realization where your new ability lets you get to a missed ledge, or when your new attack lets you hit that earlier boss super easily, and now you have to keep that route in mind on a replay. The screw knives stand out to me as disappointing because the game is pretty much entirely otherwise synergistic and experimentation driven. To contrast this, the upgrade that let me stand on knives in midair was one of my absolute favorites, and I gave it its own section here instead of tying it into my ramble above because I think that it's sick. Instead of a wall jump or a shine spark, your Here's the sequence breaking one, Go Wild. Option is one that allows for both tons of player creativity in how you can approach a level, has very clear constraints on it, allowing for the designers to account for it, and it also ties into the main character's theme, design, and appeal of throwing around tons of knives and stop time. Luna Nights is an incredibly impressive offering by Team Ladybug, whose prior games also show an ethos of quality over quantity. Its deftness at tying everything together is something that I'm incredibly envious of, and it's a rare experience to play a game this pure. It's 4 hours for $15, and honestly, until the new zone drops with the new boss, I'll probably not come back to it after finishing this video. However, I don't regret my time in it for a goddamn second. So this was my second real major video. I'm not sure how often I'll be doing this sort of thing, especially with the game of the century having come out by the time this video's up, but I'm going to shoot for, bare minimum, a video a month. I can bang these out over the course of a few days if I put my mind to it and I already have a topic picked out, but this is the third game I was going to write on before I settled on something I could actually say anything worth a damn about. I'm currently thinking about making a critique of Assassin's Creed Odyssey's UI on a controller, but who knows if that's actually going to happen. Please tell me in the comments on Twitter or DM me on Discord if there's anything I should work on in future videos. The comments about my audio last time were incredibly helpful. Batchan over and out.